Hey you guys, welcome back to All Things Equilateral. Guess what? I've decided to do something that is kind of a little bit out of the box for me, but it's something that I saw Witty Novels do on her channel and I just adored it to pieces. The video that she did is linked down below. She did a video recently called Book Series That Went Downhill. Now, I normally don't like to talk about anything super negative on this channel because, you know, life is already negative. Thank you very much. But I have, over the last, I don't know, number of years, in fact, I spent a lot of time talking to Katie over at Monday Moms about it. I called it series fatigue. There have been so many series that I was really excited about after I read the first book. And then the second book came along and I was like, what happened here? And then the third book, and I was like, huh. And sometimes these series go on to a fourth, fifth, etc. book. And you know what? I'm no longer on board. And the reasons are many why I'm not on board. Sometimes it's just because new and shiny things, like all the books that surround me, you know, they distract me. Sometimes it's because I've honestly forgotten. It's been such a long time, and I know publishing takes time, and I totally respect the process. But sometimes it takes too long for that second and third book to come out, and I've lost interest in the genre or in the plot. And then, you know, sometimes I think, and this is the real thing that's happened, I think, with a lot of these series that I'm about to go into. I think that the publishers want the author to stretch out a story, and there's just not enough story there. So we're left with kind of a dragging plot, and it's very symptomatic in books 2 of a 3-part series, right? The second book is always sort of like, why am I even reading this? You know, let's get to the good part, which is usually in book 3. So I thought, let me think about it and make this a little bit different than the series I'm never going to finish, because I know that's one of my most popular videos. But those are series that I had, like, I don't know, strong feelings about, and I was like, I'm done, blah, blah. These are ones that, you know, really, they just went downhill. I think there's a subtle difference there. So bear with me. Number 1, I'm going to mention, and it was in my series I'm never going to finish, but it was a book that I loved so much, and it's about witches. Beautiful creatures, you guys. Book 1 was so good, they should have just stopped there. Book 2 went on, and 3 and 4, and now I think there's like another one that came out, and I just don't care. I don't care what Lena is. Did she go dark or not? I think, I just don't care. But the first book was really good, and so that's what I want to focus on. These are series where the first book was really good, and then number 2, I know. You guys know I love this series. It's what really kind of rebooted my love of books. Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. Remember Twilight? We all just like fell for the human that fell in love with a vampire. And I know it's problematical, but I still love it to pieces. And then with each subsequent book, and I'm looking at you, Breaking Dawn, because that book was all kinds of crazy and stupid, and it took the series into a direction that I think the majority of us who consider ourselves twihards never expected it to go into. You know, the weird baby bonding, please. Okay, book number 3, or series number 3, that went downhill. Again, I think this opinion is shared by bookworms everywhere, but Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I loved the idea of an 8th book, but I wanted it to be a book, and we were handed a screenplay and not one that was written by the author. So there's some plot holes and just kind of head-scratching moments, and moments where the characters don't act like the characters that we loved in the 7 books that we read. And I can tell you, as like, you know, an old mama, that I'm pretty true to myself that I was when I was 17 and 18. You don't change that drastically. I mean, sometimes people do, but it takes a lot to change them. I didn't like the inconsistencies, and I missed the descriptive part of a book that you don't get in a screenplay. Number 3, I think I might have mentioned this, but let me just mention it again because I have issues with this book because I love the first book so much, and then Throne of Glass. I love the first book, Kick-Ass Assassin, everything was great. Second book, coming of age love story where she's all just obsessed with, you know, who she's going to love and fool around with, and I'm like, What happened to the assassin and all the political intrigue? I know, including my daughter, there's a lot of Sarah J. Maas fans out there. There's nothing really wrong with her writing, but I don't know. I'm not always here just for the sexy times. I want a plot and I want characters that I grow to love. This is an oldie but a goodie. You guys, I love nothing more than a good dragon story. And when I came across Eragon by Christopher Paolini, I loved it. It was the quintessential boy finds dragon egg, whoops, hatches, boy grows to love and bond with the dragon, and they go on and, fight wars and win wars and all that stuff. It was really good. I did get books 2 and 3, and I started to read book 2, and I just couldn't get through it because I didn't care anymore. So again, this is, for me, a case of a series just going downhill because I loved the first book, but then lost interest with the subsequent volumes. Okay, the next book is one that I just kind of have a bugaboo about. And honestly, I haven't even read it, but I've heard the reviews, and they're so horrible that I don't even want to waste the time buying it or trying to find it at the library. The first book I loved. It was Easy by Tamara Weber. And this was one of the first new adult books that I kind of tripped over. And even though the plot is a little tropey, the characters were interesting enough and the circumstances were just different enough to hold my attention. Now, I heard that what she did was she rewrote the book from the male point of view, and it's gotten all sorts of really bad reviews. And I wish authors would stop doing this. I know that we want, and I want, alternate points of view. I think Cassandra Clare does this very well because she releases scenes from an alternate character's point of view. I love those. But an entire book, I don't know, I've read it already. And this brings to mind Midnight Sun. Remember how Stephanie Meyer promised us Edward's point of view in Twilight? And we were so oh my gosh, we've got to have it. And there was that whole scandal, blah, blah. I don't think I want it now. Do I really want to read 600 or 700 pages? Because, Edward overthinks. So it's going to be triple the volume of Twilight. I don't think I want to read that anymore. I really don't. Because, I know what's going to happen, right? And I just don't care at this point. Okay, the next book is a book that I should have loved in theory. It's called Trouble is a Friend of Mine by Stephanie Trombley. It's kind of Veronica Mars-ish, and honestly, I read the first story and I thought, it's okay. But she's come out with, I think, 2 more books. So I think there's 3 currently released, and it's all the same kind of formula. Listen, what made Veronica Mars really good in the first 2 seasons was that overarching plot that they had, along with the episodic plots with each episode that came out. You gotta hold my interest for longer than an episode, is what I'm saying. The Summer Trilogy by Jenny Han, I really enjoyed the first book and the second book, but the third book, I don't know. And kind of the same thing happened with To All the Boys I've Loved Before. I'll post my review up there of that series. And, Kat and I actually reviewed the summer series as well. You'll see the third book, it kind of went downhill. Maybe it wasn't even necessary. The Conspiracy of Us by Maggie Hall. This was recommended to me because I love spy stories so much. And it had a good spy story, and the characters were just, they were okay. But it didn't hold my interest enough to go on and find out about that secret society and kind of the role that the main characters played in it. It just didn't. And I don't know if that's my fault or the book. I don't know. It's one of those cases it's not you, it's me, right? Across the Universe. Love the sci-fi story. This was one of the first sci-fi stories that kind of came out in a wave, I think, of dystopian. And I thought it was so cool that we had science fiction. Me, the Star Wars person, will always love a good sci-fi story. It's about the characters. The first book sets it up beautifully. I read the second book and I just lost interest. I never went on to finish the third. Did any of you finish the series? Was it good? I don't know. And then the last book, not controversial at all because so many people have said it, Miss Peregrine. This is a case of where it is an amazing plot and the synopsis just hooks you in and you just are fascinated by the photos enclosed. It's a cool little trick that Ransom Riggs did, but I don't really care about book 2 and 3. And I could have added more in here. I think so many people, like The Fifth Wave is kind of the same book, though I didn't like the first book. But Miss Peregrine, I liked the first book a lot. I just didn't care to finish the series. So let me know down below if there's series where you loved the first book but then never continued with the subsequent stories. Let me know what those are. Did I miss any? I think I probably missed quite a few. Give me a like, won't you? Subscribe, and you know what? Hit that bell icon because you never know when I'm going to post these things. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Cut.